I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby. It's not Booby. I wonder, we should experiment with this lighting. Maybe people will like this lighting better than the other lighting. No?
I don't know. It's kind of creepy.
Machine Head Halo. Who is this for?
Oh, this is for Andreas.
Andreas. Okay. So Andreas took the Fast Pass option. There's multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. One is my favorite one, the community option, $1 to get at Patreon. Gets you into the Borg, or the clan, or the alliance, whatever you call it. And an alliance leader will reach out to you. They're genre specific.
This is what I wear at night.
So there's like a technical death metal genre alliance. There's a black metal alliance, which we did yesterday. They meet
up on other forums too. They're mostly on Discord, and so
yeah.
they get to chat amongst each other and meet new people and stuff.
It's really cool stuff.
While still practicing social distancing.
We were the originators, ladies and gents.
Get it here first.
We have the look. We've got the greatest, most diverse. After we shoot this video, we're gonna load up a fireside, which is basically 2 hours of you guys having straight direct access to us. We answer questions, we talk about stuff, yada yada yada, free-form discussion, hanging out with your favorite YouTubers for 2 hours a pop, completely free of charge. We also have a mini-series that we will be probably pick up again shooting tomorrow, because I've got the lyrics written, I've got everything written out, called the Quarantine Chronicles. You can check that out.
I think,
cool stuff.
I'm not sure if you even said it, but there is a tier on Patreon, $125, where you can just get your song reacted to. You don't have to work with a team or anything like that, which is what the big homie
You skip right to the head of the line. Andreas did that.
And you can, if you want to have like, the song dedicated to somebody or something like that, you just put that in the email or in the message to us and let us know, and we can easily add that into the beginning of your video. It can be a birthday message or anniversary or whatever you so desire.
A marriage proposal.
Yeah, anything really. Right now that's on the $125 tier, and whether you put a message or you don't, it doesn't add any costs, so that's free of charge. Anyway, okay.
For timely topical,
told me to move my hair out of the way because
for timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori.
Okay, Machine Head, Halo.
This should be
Ghost. What's happening?
Can I hear anything? Heavy bass. Very ominous.
But hopeful.
saw 10 minutes there. I thought we had some more.
I know. That was disappointing.
Cut that off. How long is the song actually? 9 minutes? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That did not feel like 9 minutes. Did it feel like 9 minutes to you?
No.
It felt like 5 minutes
that
to me.
was, whew.
Well.
It was heavy.
It's heavy.
It was honest.
Very honest. The guy's definitely not on our team.
Yep. But at the same
guy's
time,
definitely not on our team.
When he hit the point where he was saying, scroll down, when he was saying, I won't pray for you.
Mm-hmm.
From I won't pray for you until, following a God so blind, that whole piece right there had a real spiritual feel to it.
Oh, 100%.
As in, that's part of his journey.
100%.
Because everybody has their own individual spiritual journey, and that moment, that realness, that's part of his.
I always appreciate people who understand that they're at war.
Yep.
Because, back in the, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, everybody was nice and postmodernist. And, hey, man, you believe what you believe, I'll believe what I believe, Yeah. Like, we've moved beyond that now. I think especially with Trump, although, 2007, so this is well before Trump, but we've definitely moved beyond the whole moral relativism thing. When it comes to politics, there's become and I'm specifically talking about him talking about the religious. Did he specifically call out the religious right? He did at the beginning, didn't he?
Oh yeah, right over here.
Aiming at the womb of the Christian conspiracy, yada yada yada.
Our right to life,
which obviously we're going to talk about, but. Yeah. There used to just be this, hey man, believe what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe, da 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 da. And just as long as you don't impose your belief system on me. And now, like, people are completely fine with imposing their belief system on other people. Like, for example, if a guy doesn't want to bake a cake, they want to ruin his entire life.
Right.
And so I'm not commenting on who's right or wrong in that situation. I'm just saying, like, we've moved beyond the, you stay your place, I'll stay in my place, and we won't impose anything on you. And now, like, now people are honest.
True.
Now people are honest that this guy's obviously a secularist, and he's saying, hey, secularism should rule the day. And he understands that he's at war with other belief systems, and
it's so
that's
funny.
good.
It's so funny
like
because when he was like, swallow not the shit they feed. It's funny because he's saying, like, look, I don't want to eat your shit, but you need to eat mine.
100%. But I like it.
I did too. I thoroughly enjoyed the song.
I like it because we've moved.
The attitude.
We've moved beyond the little the chicken noodle soup stuff. And now people are like, if you don't believe in Medicare for all, you're an immoral person. Like, they've made it a moral issue. And so now in our current conversation, it's gotten to the point where people are really, like, if you watch Jimmy Dore. And then you watch Tucker Carlson, like, you can see, like, these people, I'm not including Cenk, because Cenk was like, we're at war! And now he's telling us all to vote for Biden. So, I'm leaving Cenk out. I'm talking about the true cultural jihadis. Cenk is not one of them. He's not, I'm saying, you're not. You're gonna tell me to vote for Joe Biden, you're not a culture warrior. Get out of here. Much love to the big homie, but, so first of all, sonically, this song was amazing.
Oh my word!
Oh my gosh, man, this guy's and he can sing too. I don't know, was that like when they got melodic, like? Oh,
it was great.
He's got a really sweet voice.
Yeah,
Shout out.
He does.
I don't know if he's gonna like me saying he's got a sweet voice, but he's got a very, very sweet voice. But as a Christian listening to this, I was like, I get it. He starts right from the beginning. This is a call to arms. Will you stand beside me?
This is our time to fight. No more compromising. And this blackened heart will sing.
For sad solidarity. So I think it's important to recognize that we've got elements in our culture that are there are multiple groups that have a vision for America, and they want to see that vision actualized. Like, for example, if you believe in Medicare for all, which I do, and you do.
Absolutely.
That means everybody's going to have a hike in taxes. So if the person doesn't believe in Medicare for all, but Medicare for all gets passed, we are essentially imposing our economic system onto them.
Yep.
And those are facts. So when right-wingers say, this is theft, you're using the government to take from me to finance other people's health care because they're irresponsible, yada, yada, yada. That's their argument. They're saying it's my money. I should be able to do what I want with my money. And they're right. The problem is that there's another element in our country that's saying, yeah, but there's a higher value than your monetary liberty, and that is the life of our countrymen and women.
Yeah.
But don't pretend that you're not imposing something onto other people.
Right. Because you absolutely are.
If you believe in Medicare for all, which we do, you are imposing your economic moral system onto millions of people who would not otherwise want to sign off on it. And so I like songs like this because it takes the mask off the idea that there's only one group of people in this country who are trying to impose their belief system onto other people.
Right.
That's just a lie. How about we start pretending? Everybody wants to impose their belief system to a certain degree onto other people. Those are facts. Otherwise, we wouldn't have mom and pop bakeries getting shut down because they don't want to participate in your gay wedding. Now again, I'm not going to comment on what I would do in the situation. I'll just say this: what I would do in the situation would probably make a lot of Christians mad, and a lot of people in our crew very, very happy. But
Why wouldn't you just say what you do?
Because I don't want people to use this as an excuse to not listen to what we have to say, whether they're on the right or on the left. Because people generally check out when you say stuff like that on certain groups. And I don't care about offending them. I don't give a damn about offending them, but I do care that people sit and hear each other out. And I think that's one of the things that's missing in our country. It's like, now that we've gotten beyond the silly idea that we're just going to hold these opinions and not impose them onto other people. And of course, there's a lot of historical examples in our country where we impose our belief system on. Like, I'm glad that the North imposed their their non-slavery belief system onto the South. And I know it's not as simple as the North wanted to free the slaves and whatever, but you get my point.
Yeah.
There's lots of times when you impose your belief system onto people. And this is why, like, when people say things like you can't legislate morality and all this other stuff, it's just ridiculous. What do you mean you can't legislate morality? 9/10 of our laws are first and foremost moral issues.
Right, exactly.
What are you talking about? So I really, really like this. This is our call to arms. Like, he's drawn a line in the sand. He's saying, I'm not compromising, and I have a blackened heart.
Yep.
And you have to have a blackened heart to support abortion if you know exactly what is actually happening in an abortion.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that don't know what's actually happening in an abortion. It seems that you don't believe that. But I've talked to literally hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and they genuinely don't know. Or you disagree with that?
I just think that it's your responsibility to find out what's going on when so much is at stake.
Okay, that's fair.
And I think that in this day and age, most everybody has a smartphone, and you search the internet or you scroll through everything that interests you. So that is something that is a major, major thing. And if you're wrong on that subject, then you are massively, massively wrong, and there is a lot of blood on your hands.
Right, you better make damn sure.
Right, and I think
you're right. That's a good point.
If people don't know, it's because they have not informed themselves. And why do you not want to inform yourself on such an important topic? That, to me, is questionable behavior. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's kind of like us with the whole. Like, there's been a year and a half, we did a review and something was about animal rights or something like that, and then there's this movie about, like, what happens to these poor animals and things like that before they end up in Walmart, and to this moment I still haven't watched it.
Nope. But I'm not ignorant as to the details. I know that it's wrong. And honestly, there is not a time that goes by that I don't wash the chicken and season it that I don't feel bad. Every time I deal with the chicken, I feel bad.
Yeah. I don't feel bad.
Well, I've seen stuff more than you have.
Right.
And I'm the one that sees the chicken leg broken in the container.
Right. So this blackened heart will sing for sad solidarity.
But I haven't changed my behavior on it because I still buy chicken. So. Why is he saying halo over my demise?
Well, because a halo is supposed to be a marker of a particular holiness.
Yeah.
So I think he's going after the religious right, basically saying, if these people take over the country, we're dead, basically is the idea. It's the impending theocracy. People say that if Trump wins, I was in a fireside. Somebody said, if Trump wins, there'll be another theocracy. I said, inshallah. Of course, if you really pin me down, I don't believe that living outside of a theocracy is even possible. We're always going to live in a theocracy, and that's because whatever in a given society occupies the highest value is de facto the god of that society. Mm-hmm. And so societies are always going to be governed by their gods. Whatever the primary value is
Yep.
going to govern the society. And
Yep.
so that's a mistake that a lot of my secularist friends have, is that their version of secularism, they believe that that's what this country has always been. And that's just simply
Right.
That's just simply ahistorical and wrong. It's just
Right.
not true.
Right.
The founding fathers were not evangelical Christians, but they were certainly not Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens would not have written, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all
Right.
men are created equal and endowed with certain inalienable rights given to them by their Creator. Among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness." That's not going to come from an avowed secularist. Sorry. So it's a simplistic, and you see it on the other side too, where like right-wingers will say that that all the founding fathers were diehard Christians or whatever, evangelicals like them. That's not true. Mm-hmm. You get Jefferson's torn up Bible, where he took all the supernatural stuff from the New Testament. So,
Right.
Just like with everything else, things are way more complicated than people want to acknowledge. And it's one of the things that I've bemoaned, is that we're so cut off from our history that people genuinely believe that the founding fathers were trying to create some secular utopia. It's unbelievable. You know, like even the Establishment Clause.
But I think that you're right, is that depending on what you believe is what you think the past was.
Correct.
Because I always thought our founding fathers were all like evangelical Christians, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, hardcore, we came
Right.
over here for our freedoms and...
Right.
But carry on.
Well, yeah, and you know, people, you had a mixture of a lot of things, and then you add to that the complexity of what it means to be a human being. I always get skeptical whenever I hear anybody trying to broad brush the founding fathers in any direction. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, oh, they were all slaveholders. No, not all of them were slaveholders. Some of them were actually abolitionists. Oh, they were all religious. Well, a lot of them were religious. Some of them were on a scale. I think John Adams was genuinely religious, and he had an obvious influence over the Constitution and things like that. But then, you know, like even when you look at the Establishment Clause was basically a summary of the Virginia Constitution. And the Establishment Clause was not about creating a secularist utopia. It was about putting a pillar under the Protestant idea of freedom of conscience. Which is more elucidated in the Virginia Constitution, which says explicitly in the Virginia Constitution that our duty, which by the way, it's still like 2020, it's still there.
It's still there.
Our duty to our Creator. And then it talks about how we have a duty to our Creator, but we can only be swayed by argument, it says, by argument and public discourse, and not by the state. Because again, the context...
Nobody could force somebody into a certain religion,
Correct.
into a certain belief system.
Correct. These guys were the sons of the folks who got burned at the stake in Bloody Mary's, you know, pogroms and had to, you know, co-sign transubstantiation. So that's what was happening. There's whole papers written on it. I'll put a link in there, but most people aren't going to read it because they get all their history from Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens and all. No disrespect to them, but, you know, I mean, good night. And it's the same thing with Christians. I forgot there was this one, I had this Christian friend one time, and there was this big controversy over this guy. I'm like, what happened with this guy? And he was saying, well, he basically wrote this book, sold millions of copies, was doing the whole preaching circuit about it, and like he was basically making the argument that like all of these guys were Christians and yada yada yada, and then it turns out like it was falsified documents, like he lied about like 90% of it. You know what I mean? Like and like there was no accountability for the guy. He just you know.
How was it? Just move it right along.
Well, yeah, because it was what the right wing wanted to hear.
Yeah.
It was a version of history that the right wing wanted to hear, and that's why I'm very big on history, because I'm like, I'm not going to get in a situation where I am duped by any group.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to get duped by the secularists, and I'm not going to get duped by the right-wingers either. And depending on what what day you listen to us, people make assumptions. Like a couple
Yeah,
days ago,
yeah.
somebody cursed us out for being liberals. That's what I would expect for liberals to be against the death penalty. Shout out to the big homie. So, I mean, I really, really appreciate the fact that, because, you know, we're big on self-awareness. It's like, okay, you're at war. You're obviously at war. And I know. And that's why I love everybody in the village. I love them to death. But I don't care how you feel about how I feel about abortion.
Yeah.
I honestly do not care, because we're in the middle of a situation where we are, if we are right, and go watch the debate.
Oh boy.
Go watch the debate.
There has been no bigger tragedy, in my opinion, if we're right.
If we're right and we're really killing innocent children, then it is the human rights crisis of our day. And I think it's no mystery that we're killing children, and that's the reason why we have to people start speaking Latin.
Yep.
Out of nowhere. Start using words like fetus. Things like that.
Yep. Why not show the girl her ultrasound? Why do the ultrasound and not show it to her?
Yeah.
Because you're hiding something?
Why don't you want to see the pictures?
Yeah.
If it's not a human being, why do you care that it's all disassembled?
I've talked to girls that they say they wouldn't show them to me. They wouldn't show me the ultrasound pictures.
Well, we you know, and the other thing about this that I think is a blind spot in this song, although it was 2007, is that he's putting the pro-life movement solely on Christianity, which I would love, you know, in 20 years when we abolish abortion, bless God, I would love to be able to say we were the ones that did it start to finish, but that's not true.
No, I think it's the Catholics.
Well, I mean, that's still under Christianity. That's not true, though. We've got feminists. I'm following a feminist. I'm following 2 feminist pro-life groups, an anarchist pro-life group, an LGBT pro-life group on Twitter.
Yeah, there are a lot of groups, but I don't think anybody has done as much as the...
Right, what I'm saying is I would like to take sole responsibility of it. To be able to say we took out, but that's not true.
Yeah.
We're at the front lines for sure.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of secularist groups now.
That surprised me. I didn't realize that.
And feminist groups and LGBT groups, because Christians do not hold a corner market on empathy.
Yep.
That's not only ours.
Right.
And you've got, you know, Albany Rose, who featured here. She's supposed to be making a "No, I'm not going to mind my business" shirt. Albany Rose is a atheist, secularist Satanist who is radically pro-life.
Yep.
Doesn't even make exceptions for the cases of sexual assault. Doesn't even make those exceptions, and argues very powerfully against it.
Yes, she does.
And then, of course, when you hear her story about, you know, like you were saying, like they lied in the ultrasound, they lied all these types of things, when you actually talk to these girls, and then we've seen all the sting videos of Planned Parenthood where the guy shows up as a pimp.
Yep.
And the girl is obviously underage, and he's like, we got to find a way to solve this problem. And the Planned Parenthood, oh yeah. Like this is stuff where, unless you're committed to this as a principle, when people see that, they go, wait a second.
Yep. Yeah.
Are we just covering for a guy who's trafficking a little girl? Did we just cover for that? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they did. We'll put the link in the description if you actually want to see it. But at the same time, though, think about this. This is our right to life. I think that's a very smart phrase, and it's very self-aware, because what he's saying is ultimately, abortion is really about maintaining a certain type of lifestyle. It is not, you know, people always bring up rape, incest, life of the mother, all of those things that are less than 1% of all documented abortions, which is just a completely, you know, ridiculous thing to do when 99% of the 61 million kids that we've killed have been due to convenience.
Right.
And due to the fact that this kid is going to screw up your future. So
go ahead. If those were the odds, like let's say every time, you know, you went to the grocery store, 99% of the time it was you got murdered because somebody from the grocery store killed you, or you said, well, 1% of the time something might fall on you.
Right.
Like, obviously, the 99% that one of the associates is killing you is way more significant.
Correct. You would want that issue addressed.
Yeah, let's address the 99%.
Right. But you already successfully made it out of the womb, so you're okay. But this is our right to life. Right. So, like, he's saying this practice in our culture
Yep.
maintains a certain type
Yep.
of life and lifestyle. He's absolutely right.
Ugh.
Thank you for being honest. Don't do the whole, well, what about blah 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 blah. Don't do that. Talk that this
Yeah.
this is the thing that gets me
Straight
about this
talk
whole
right there.
this is the thing that gets me about this whole discussion. When I say, oh, we're doing this to babies, people will stop saying baby, say fetus. When, we'll post the definition for the 9th millionth time. A fetus is simply
Yeah.
the Latin term for a baby post 8 weeks gestation. That's all it is. It's a baby. We've been pregnant a few times in our lives, and when we go to the doctor, even though the thing's a peanut, it's still, there's baby right there. Nobody says fetus.
Right.
When I say I hurt my knee, I say I hurt my knee. I didn't hurt my humerus, or whatever the Latin term for my knee is. So I love like honesty and straight. Like I can deal with that. I can deal with a person saying, I know it's a baby and I know we're killing it. Okay, all right. So you believe in killing baby? Okay. You know what I mean? And I can still love you. I can still be your friend. We're just on, it's like the Germans and the Allied troops. And, when they were playing soccer and, in Christmas, like, I can still love somebody I'm at war with. I do. There's people in the village that I'm at absolute cultural war with. Absolute cultural war. And, but I still love them. Doesn't mean I hate them. And I don't, I don't hold any ill feelings to them. It's just, let's be honest about where everybody stands. That's all.
Right.
And and I think it takes a lot of. I mean, a person's gonna say it doesn't take a lot of courage to write a song like this in the metal community, and they're probably right. It doesn't really take a lot of courage to write a song like this because, it's like the dude from That Art Is Murder.
I don't necessarily think in that culture that it takes, but if he has such strong feelings about it, he probably grew up in a Christian home. So or around people that were religious. I mean, that's some pretty strong language coming from somebody who doesn't really have roots in it. I think he has some roots in it. That's my take. And so if that's the case, I think that it's harder to come out and say those things when,
He's probably got family members maybe
that probably adds to that whole disapproving, swallow it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it's very interesting. You'll never hold us down. It's, what is it? Psalm chapter 2, why the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain. The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed one, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us.
Yep.
Because they feel oppressed.
Yep.
And then God's response is, he who sits in the heavens laughs, the Lord will hold them in derision. Like, God's like, okay, we'll see. So, like,
that's one of those Jamaican laughs.
Yeah. Well,
when I was first with Vin and he would be like really angry about something and he would laugh, I'd be like, oh, I guess it's not that big of a deal. And then I started realizing that there is a certain laugh that he does that is, no, it is a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway.
Yeah. Although, when he says following a God so blind, I
think that's a double.
How did you interpret that?
I literally took it as both. People following God blindly and following a God that's so blind to what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Well, we always find ourselves conflicted, right? Because on the one hand, you've got the religious right. They've adopted the term pro-life, which I think is correct. Although we're more abolitionists than pro-life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the problem that happens with a lot of pro-life people is that if you go back to like the earlier cultural issue like Medicare for all, the same pro-life people are the same people that seemingly do not give a damn about post-birth healthcare. And they hear that people are dying and they don't care.
Yeah.
And so it's like, to me, it's like, well, what God are you actually following? Like, do you really believe that God's up in heaven saying, we need to save that baby, but screw that 28-year-old, screw that guy?
I don't understand.
Like, you really think, right-wingers, Christians, that you really believe God's up there going, oh, man, that like, I saw something, there was one situation, somebody posted it in the Middle America Facebook portal. It was this guy, and he basically, they were forced to work, and their work didn't provide any of the whatever, and they kept telling them to come to work, and then the guy ends up dying. and I said, this guy was just murdered by capitalism. And that's a serious issue. And Christians are completely calloused to all this death that's happened. And even now, like, you hear him talk about, let's open up, we got to go back to work. And here's the thing, about the current situation that we're in, I understand that there's a very delicate balance, because
in case this gets watched years from now, we're talking about the coronavirus. That's what we're in the middle of right now.
And then people are self-quarantining, and then you've got right-wingers saying, hey, we need to get back to work, yada, yada, yada. Lift this stuff. You got people protesting. Guys in Michigan showed up with their M4s and all that to protest. We're going outside, yada, yada, yada. And so here's my perspective on that. On the one hand, when I see those guys protesting, I say to myself, what a ridiculous, silly, stupid thing to do. But on the other hand, I say to myself, however, I think it's good that the government realizes this is America, damn it. And we're temporarily allowing our rights to be suspended, but don't get it twisted. I think it's important for the government to understand that about American people. At the same time, this sort of prioritization of commerce over human life is almost, you got that whole thing that happened on Fox News a couple of weeks ago, where the guy basically says, hey, if you're 80 plus or whatever, you had a good run, we're not going to destroy the entire economy for you. And then all the leftist bad people like Rob Flynn are saying, wait a second, weren't you just saying this girl can't have an abortion? And from his perspective, she can't do what she wants with her own body, which is a dumb argument. But he's saying, you just said that this girl can't have an abortion because human life is sacred, and yet now you're talking about literally sacrificing an entire demographic of America, which is the elderly, which is the opposite side of these kids, and you're completely fine with you're saying that you gotta crack a few eggs to make a capitalist omelet. It's stuff like that where it's like you're following a God so blind, and it's like, to me, it's like, well, what God are you guys following? It just seems to me that the God of American right-wing evangelicalism is the GOP and Fox News, Sean Hannity, and capitalism. Like, that to me is the God that they're following. It doesn't seem that they're following the Christ of the Bible. The Jesus I know is absolutely infuriated that we're massacring these kids, but he's also infuriated that we're placing money over the lives of people that we could be saving by the thousands every year. So when he says, following a God so blind, like, I'm not, for me, I'm not looking at that like they're following the true God blindly. It seems to me that they're following like the various groups that are telling
I see what you're saying.
Right-wing Christians how to act and how to live and what to think and how to interpret things and all the rest of it. And of course, the person can say, well, what do you think the secularists are doing? They're doing the same thing with MSNBC and CNN. Yes, the difference is that you as a Christian are supposed to have a document from which you interpret all the brainwashing stuff that you see on Fox News, whereas you yourself would say the secularist doesn't. So you have no excuse. You're without excuse. Anapologetus, as Paul says in Romans 1. So, you know me, I'm always a fan of self-awareness. This guy is completely aware. He understands that if he interprets Christ's rule over his life as oppressive, which is the way you're going to think about it before your heart is transformed. You're going to, Jesus says,
absolutely.
My burden is light. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't, there is a burden.
Right.
But it's light, he says. And obviously, from our perspective, if you don't carry his light burden, you're going to carry your own burden, and your burden's much more heavy and oppressive than anything that you can come up with. Believe you me.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you have to carry your own burden before you realize you're tired.
That's a very good point. That's a very, 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 very good point. I wonder if there's a Christian version of this, like, this is our call to our arms, and then he says, and then he writes some crazy verse about people killing babies and all that. Like, I wonder how that would be received. I wish a band would do that. I wish it was a Christian band that would just say fuck this shit. Like, honest, because you got Behemoth and all these like going after Christians.
I agree.
Like, okay, let's get busy. I mean, look, historically, Christians, we can get busy. We can get busy with culture war.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand, I don't know, sometimes, man, Christian bands, they kill me, bro. Because it's like,
I know.
it's all this corny stuff and whatever. It's like, we were writing hymns like the Son of God marches forth to war. Like, beautiful stuff. What is it?
That's why I don't really like listening to them, because I get so disappointed.
I know. It's the Glory, Glory, Hallelujah song. It was the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Yep.
During the Civil War, that song, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. He died to make men holy. Let us die to make men free. And our God, he marches on. They were saying, God is on our side in this Civil War shit, because y'all are wrong about this shit.
Yep.
And we're about to kill a whole bunch of you motherfuckers for doing this shit. Like, here we go.
That word.
Huh?
I don't believe they.
No. But when they said he died to make men holy, let us die to make them free.
Yep.
They were talking about going to war.
That's crazy. Yeah.
In the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that out.
How?
I've got this very racist pastor friend, racist as hell, and he's got this little thing, this portal on Facebook that I haven't participated in years, but I watch it, and they were talking about, I'm so heartbroken about the Battle Hymn of the Republic because, I really love that song, and then I found out they were supporting the aggressors. This guy was from Georgia or something. He's like, so the guy was legit upset that Battle Hymn of the Republic was sang by people who were trying to free slaves.
Some people are so bad.
Well, it's a closed group, and so they all think alike. I was on the phone with this guy, and he's kind of famous.
How did you get in there?
The guy's kind of famous. I was on the phone with him, and he said all this racist shit. I said, my man, do not say that ever in public. He's like, what? I'm like, don't ever say.
Realize it was racist?
Oh, they never do. Pastor, famous guy. I said, you shouldn't even say that shit to me. Don't even say it to me. Now I'm gonna go to my grave with it. I'm like, don't get comfortable saying that shit to people, man.
Is this the guy that put the weapon in his pulpit?
I'm not gonna say.
It's gotta be.
I'm not gonna say. I'm really trying to protect this guy.
Oh my god.
He doesn't know any better. The guy is raised.
Goodness.
He's raised in a whatever. He doesn't know any better. But good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said don't ever. So I understand where this guy's coming from, and this song is going to get a very, very high score for. I love this song. This is a crazy song. I can't believe it was 9.5 minutes.
Oh my gosh!
It felt like a 5-minute song. That's how you know.
I loved it.
There's a song we listened to a week and a half ago. It was 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. Well, I have felt every single second of that song. I was like, subhanallah, when is this song going to be over?
Yeah.
This song, I wanted to go on for another 15 minutes. Yeah. This is such a good song. And if I was a secularist, I would be a militant secularist. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be all, blah, 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 blah. And I would be friends with me because I would understand me. I think that's the next stage in the evolution of our culture. We went from whatever will be, you believe what you believe, da da da, and now it's you're an immoral bastard if you don't hold to my position on Medicare for all or baking this cake or abortion. Yeah. And I think the next stage is going to be, okay, you're on that side of the fence, I'm on this side of the fence, I want to win, you want to win, if I win, you lose, if I lose, you win. We can still talk to each other.
Yep.
We can still be friends. It doesn't have to be either or. We could be friends. You know what I mean? The only people I have a hard time being friends with are Christians who aren't consistently pro-life. Mm-hmm. That I have a very difficult time with. I'd much rather deal with the baby-killing secularists. I'll deal with them all day. But if you're a Christian and you're not consistently pro-life, you don't care about the lives of other people, I got a serious problem.
Yeah, it is.
I have a hard.
It is hard to swallow.
I have a very, very hard time with that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's the next stage is where we'll be able to kind of look at each other and understand that we're at war and there's time to fight and there's time to chill. Yep. The time for jihad is in November. right? That's how you fight. Anytime it's a voting cycle, that's the time to fight. And you know, at the street level, we got to have these discussions and have vigorous debates, and which is why we never shy away from. We just talked about abortion in the Cohen video.
Yeah.
But that's because it came up in the Cohen video, right? And I'm not going to shy away from it. But I think we can. The next stage is that we can find peace with each other, while at the same time knowing that, you know, there's an arena for war, and then there's an arena for, you know.
I say bring back the centers where everybody would like debate. You know, not just the best of us debate, but even those of us that are not good at debate. Because if you are on the side of truth, then even if you're not that good at rhetoric, you can still get somewhere because you're on the side of truth.
Yeah, I think the abortion debate is such an easy one, which is why you don't see a lot of these guys like, you know, beating down the hatches to try to, justify it. Because anytime, like, you know, it's like the whole Kathy Tran video when the guy was like, wait a second, you're talking about killing these kids and woman's water's breaking, and you're talking about still killing this kid?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, there's no restriction in the bill. And he's like, right, so you're talking about killing this kid as a woman's water's breaking. She goes, yeah. Like, the thing is impossible to defend. They're not going to try. It's impossible. You're not going to try to do that.
I can't talk about that subject too much. It's so upsetting.
But, you know, at the end of the day, as a Christian, you know, we believe that all of us are collectively guilty, and that all of us will have redemption through the blood of Christ and the resurrection of Christ, and so we commend that to you. Because I think it's a mistake that gets made a lot, is that you talk about how horrific abortion is, which we should, but then you leave people in a situation where it's like, shit, I'm just left with my conscience now. So, I mean, obviously, who wants to say, you know, it's like that time we were outside the building with that kid. He was such a badass. A little 16-year-old kid. He was such a badass. He's swearing at me and giving me the finger and stuff. And then after the abortionists dissected his child, his son, he was left to himself on the bench crying his eyes out because he just made an irreversible decision. And I was very grateful for the fact that we were able to be there for him and pray with him and cry with him, and then he gave me that big long knife.
This big. Said he didn't want to make another bad decision.
I think about that kid a lot.
I do too.
You know, the heartbreaking thing about it was that he looked like such a child.
He did. He
when
really
he was on that bench. And I was so infuriated at the so-called adults, you know, the guidance counselor and the mom and all this. Like, they didn't give those kids a chance at all.
No, they didn't.
So that's
the weight of what they did hit him. It was unbearable.
They took their check, and then there he was.
I always thought it was sick
himself.
How they would usher those people in, but that they would walk out by themselves, crying and everything, and they didn't say a word to them. Nothing. They got their money. So.
All right. Well, there you go, Rob Flynn. Good stuff. What do you give the song?
10.
Yeah, I got to give it a 10. Got to give it a 10. Very, very necessary. And I'm not mad at you, Rob Flynn. You can be mad at Christians. It's okay.
We can handle it. We have broad shoulders.
That means we did something right.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we got to do something to get people upset at us here. It's like, oh, okay, all right, we're on track. We're good. We're good. We love you, and we will pray for you, Rob Flynn. I'm going to pray for Rob Flynn tonight. Put him on the board. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.